It's a very exciting time to be pursuing these topics, isn't it? I mean, since the New York Times and the ATIP, OSAP, all that.
Yes, and I'm hoping that their work, their interest is genuine, and that they're not being, just a propaganda machine for the government.
Well, you worked for NIDS for a period, and of course people think that's a propaganda machine for the government or disinformation or something. Was it because of your work at Hudson Valley and the triangles and that you got hired at NIDS?
I would like to think so. Certainly Colm said that it was. But unfortunately, during my only a 4-month stay before Bigelow shut the place down, Colm had hired me. He told me because he hopes that by my presence I'll convince Robert Bigelow to keep the Institute going. Ultimately, it didn't. And I think the most clear sign of that was when he told me to prepare a PowerPoint presentation of my data, which I did, like I'm giving here. And Bigelow stayed and watched, and he didn't say anything. In the middle of my presentation, he gets up and says, "Okay, I've seen enough, goodbye."
Yeah, that's the handwriting on the wall.
Exactly.
Must have been very exciting for you when you get hired by them, considering who made up NIDS back in that era. I mean, your colleagues would have been some amazing people. Jacques Vallée.
Oh my God, yes.
Hal, Kit.
Yes, I met all of them. And Eric Davis, I met when I was first there, and he taught me the ropes, basically, and introduced me to all the people in the building. So it was, I got to meet all of them.
They were doing good work. Studied the triangles, for example. That was some of the work they did.
Yes, and what really amazed me is what Colm was doing, because as you know, he published a paper through NIDS on his idea of the early records of the triangles, that many of them were seen in between military bases. And he thought that this was military hardware. And then when he bought or had Bigelow buy the other, like New Fork and Hatch and all of the other surveys, and assembled that data, he was shocked, literally, because now he had, instead of maybe several thousand sightings across the country, had tens of thousands. And many of the sightings were not between military bases, they were over highways and cities. And at a talk he gave at the SSE in May of 2004, he actually said, "My results now seem to suggest the first wave of an alien invasion." That's the only explanation he could come up with.
I'm sure you go through the scenarios in your head. If NIDS had been allowed to continue, you would have been there when BASS was created.
Yes. Yes.
Would have been on some pretty cool stuff.
Yes. And also, Bigelow never gave up on the Skinwalker Ranch, even though he sold it to try to perhaps decrease attention to it. But then he hired several people, ex-military people, to go out there and be security guards.
Did you ever have a chance to go to the ranch?
No, I never did.
At that point, I mean, the activity level had decreased to the point where he didn't really send people out there as much anymore, the scientific people. Did you interact with Colm and Eric about their experiences?
Oh, Colm was great. He told me many stories and filled me in. Eric filled me in a little bit about what was going on with the research team. And Colm told me of specific stuff that you later present in your MUFON presentation.
Did you want to go?
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, and it was very disappointing, but it was obvious that Bigelow wasn't going to send me out there if he wasn't going to continue NIDS.
What do you make of the Skinwalker Ranch and places like that, where the activity, it's not reproducible, it doesn't happen the same way a second time, it avoids cameras, it seems to occasionally make a display for some people and other people don't. I mean, what box do you put that in?
I think we need to expand our concept of reality and of a multi-dimensional universe. I got involved with Brian Williams, who knows himself, goes by the moniker Sargell 18, in Wanacue, New Jersey, where he grew up. And the Wanacue Dam there has had many UFO sightings over it. Even Ellen shows a picture in a book of that something lights over the reservoir. And Brian, growing up in that town, He gave a number of lectures on it, and it's really spooky of the kinds of people that are there. He says the Ku Klux Klan lives there, the Masons are there, and all of these other extreme groups live there. And he says there are black witches and white witches that live there. And I said, well, why have they chosen this place? He says, because of the vortex. What do you mean the vortex? And below the dam on the Wanakee River, there is a location where the portal opens up and these entities come through routinely. And Brian developed a method of setting up his camcorder on a tripod and then walking ahead of it and taking flash pictures with his digital camera, and whenever he felt something psychically that was there, and many times he would capture these entities, these creatures coming through the porthole. One case he got a Nagas, or an ancient reptilian ET, standing right in front of him and the portal in behind him.